Whew. Good morning, buddies. Just a mental health check-in. I'm gonna go on a bit of a message rant. Had a pretty good chest day pump at the gym. And there have been a few topics that have been kind of weighing on my mind lately. And I think with the recent passing of Angus Cloud, rest in peace, the different points that I want to mention in this video kind of came together and hit me like a little bit of a light bulb, a little epiphany. And I wanted to relay this message to you. It might be a little bit of discombobulated rant, but I hope you guys are able to get the gist and the message of this topic. But I want to dive into the suffering artist and the mental disposition of the suffering artist, the trials and tribulations of the suffering artist, the roller coaster ride that these suffering artists have to go through in order to reach their potential, their peak, in order to gain the creative admiration that they're so seeking, and the toll that it takes, and the lacks of checks and balances in these spaces that they are able to create for themselves, where they're able to be where they're eventually able to become financially lucrative and reap the benefits and the profits of their hard work after getting so much rejection, after getting so many no's, after going through all the ebbs and flows of life to be able to finally establish themselves. And something that's really kind of struck me is how a lot of these spaces that they're finally able to navigate and maneuver themselves into just kind of allow them to roam recklessly free without anybody stopping and saying, hey, we see your talent, we see your gifts, but we also see that there are some mental strives that you're going through. And in order for you to continuously be successful and not just become a martyr, we want to help you. We want to make sure that you're getting the mental health checks that you need in order to be a fruitful artist and not just, an artist that is soon to meet their demise. And the recent allegations against some of these artists that I want to cover are like Lizzo. That is a shock to me. Lea Michelle. That was also a shock to me. And Jonathan Majors, which is also, well, I won't say he's too much of a shock, but just kind of like information that you're just kind of slammed with, like, wow, and how, and why. So the reason why I am bringing this up is, for example, I saw this vlogger that I watch every so often. Her channel is called Impressive Channel. You guys should check her out. She covers a lot of gossip and pop culture stories. But she had mentioned how Angus Cloud, has been struggling allegedly with addiction. His manager put him on blast, which I'm kind of mixed about, the intention with that. I think that he might have had some pretty good intentions by trying to highlight and probably create an intervention with his situation. But I think the bigger issue is that he was on a show such as Euphoria, which promotes and kind of sensationalizes drugs, sex, a lot of vices that if someone like him was already struggling with, it probably wasn't helpful or beneficial for him to be in that kind of environment. And then with the passing of his father, which alleged is what kind of caused him to spiral even more. And then, ending in his demise. All of that kind of begs the question as to what kind of support did he have as a young budding artist who, was navigating his creative realm and using his gifts and his talents to entertain us. It's like he put himself in these spaces for whatever reason, because these are his dreams, his goals, and it's his way of also, taking care of himself, his family, finding his financial freedom through this type of avenue. But it, at the end of the day, also seems to me to have become a detriment to his own well-being. And that's something that I feel like we need to be more conscious of. In this day and age, especially post-pandemic, your mental well-being is so important. And while I think it's great that he was able to, work on a hit show and, make some money and network some more and gain and garner more opportunities in this creative realm, was it worth it, is my question. Was it worth him being in an environment that wasn't suitable or prosperous for his well-being? And it seems like it wasn't. I could be wrong, this is just my observation and my opinion. But his story reminded me of the allegations that Lea Michele went through. The story of after the whole George Floyd incident and her wanting to tweet in support of BLM movement. When all those co-stars of her came out and reported how vicious and vile she was on set, it just made me think, for someone like her who, and I'd seen a few interviews and, backstories about how she struggled to, find her way through the industry, being rejected, being told that she wasn't good enough, that her look, her physical aesthetics weren't conducive to, to being a leading star in Hollywood. It just also makes me wonder, when she finally is able to achieve the success that she wants, when she finally is on a hit show like Glee, you would think that the humility of what she's been through would make her so grateful and gracious, and it would want her to be an example of, being a positive role model on set, especially as a lead. But instead, people were coming out of the woodwork to drag her. And that makes me wonder why production, why directors, why managers, why showrunners, why nobody on set checked her ass before she got out of control. And it's very interesting to me how we just completely ignore the mental state of some of these artists. There is a reason why they're called the suffering artists, because they have to go through a lot of shit to get to where they want to be. And so along the way, you need to be able to check your mental health to make sure that not only are you still in a healthy mind state to continue doing what you're doing, but if at any point that your ego gets the best of you, somebody should be able to stop and let you know, hey, this is a collaborative space, this is a collaborative environment, and you need to have the right decorum and the right disposition to work with a team to make everybody's experience positive and successful and fruitful. And I feel like that is often lacking in lieu of talent. People just want to uplift the talent and creativity, but neglect the fact that the humane experience is still just as important. And so the fact that nobody checked her is really, really disappointing. And the same thing with Lizzo. That is a really shocking allegation to me, if any of this is true. The fact that Lizzo, who has come out multiple times on social media to complain about how the world perceives her, how the trolls continue to drag her for, just her body weight and her just the way she looks, just the way she carries herself, to find out that she is in turn projecting all of these insecurities onto her dance team. Horrible. Why hasn't anybody checked her? Why hasn't anybody, managed her mental health and been like, hey, sis, you're great, you're talented, you're all of the things, but we want to make sure that mentally you are okay and that you understand that it's important to treat your team around you with the same grace that you wish you were receiving. Be an example of what you wish and desire to achieve. And the fact that that's not been the case, that's crazy. And I hope that, Lizzo is able to come out and speak on all these allegations, because it really is a wretch to hear that she is literally projecting the same exact things that people have been tearing her down for onto her team. And with Jonathan Majors, even though he's been vindicated of his recent allegations, and that's awesome for him, I can't forget the fact that so many other people have been talking about some of his disparaging behavior for years prior to him even, rising to the stardom that he has. People have talked about how crass and callous he is. Even in his acting classes, people have talked about it. At his studies, that whatever university he went to, I think it's Yale or something, or I might just be making that up. But they've also talked about historically the type of behavior he's exhibited, which has been very detrimental to people around him. And the fact that nobody has checked him, nobody's been like, hey, you can't act like that. You can't be treating people on this collaborative project in this safe space, this creative space. You can't be putting them down, making them feel low. You need to be setting an example as an artist that this environment should be safe and it should be protected for everybody. And I want to give a quick example before I end this video. I remember I had auditioned for a web series a few years back, and at one of our table reads that we had, our very first table read, me and the rest of the cast, we got together, we were just having a good time, vibing. I'm big on that. I'm very big on collective energy. Whenever I'm in a creative space, I'm so conscious of how the collective group is vibing, is gathering, is, creating, is just, the space that we are inhabiting together creatively is very important and sacred to me. And I believe that everybody should feel good when you are creating together, because you're literally just sharing a vulnerable, open space, and you want to feel comfortable in those type of spaces. Anyways, the main character, the main lead of our table read, he was running late. No big deal. Nobody was, pressed about that. We were all still, just doing our thing, just getting ready, prepared, just greeting each other, learning who the directors were, who the other cast members were. Anyways, this guy comes in late. When he walks in, he immediately has this weird energy about him. He sits down kind of close to me, and I overhear him kind of mutter to himself, but it was loud enough. And he was like, are people talking about me? Like, why is everybody looking at me weird and, making me feel uncomfortable? Mind you, nobody was looking at him weird. Nobody even cared. Like, we were all just enjoying the first meet and greet amongst the team. And I immediately took note of his insecurity that he was projecting, and I just let him know. I was like, nobody's looking at you weird. Nobody feels any type of way that you came in late. We were all just genuinely vibing and just enjoying each other's company before you got here. I just said it calmly and casually like that. In my mind, I was like, what is wrong with this guy? That's what I was thinking. But out loud, I just told him, like, no, nobody's creating any issue. We're all just vibing. We're all just, collectively just enjoying each other's energy. And after that, his energy shifted. He kind of calmed down and he wasn't as insecurely projecting. And then the rest of the table read just went smoothly. And the reason why I bring that up is because it's very important to check the unnecessary negativity at the door, especially when you are working collaboratively. And I don't think enough people understand the importance of that, or even care, maybe. But I want to know what you guys think. I want to understand more about, different workspaces, different work environments, and how you guys, feel about being open and vulnerable in a space, and what your experiences have been like with people who don't respect that or, take advantage of that. I'm gonna hit the grocery store, get something to eat, and get on with the rest of my day. But again, RIP to Angus Cloud, and I hope that moving forward, I know we got this writer strike going on, and the actors are now participating. It's really sad and unfortunate, but I hope that with this, with whichever way they resolve this situation, I hope that it's also inclusive of creating healthier work environments. And that's all. You guys have a good day.